Hey, Bula, Bula, everyone. Hello, Aloketa, Malolele, Talofalava, Aloha, and warm Pacific greetings from the Turtle Island, which is where myself and Dr. Mere are connecting in from. That's what they call the United States as Turtle Island. So, Bula Vinaka, and I'm just so happy that we are here. It's a Sunday here in the US. Dr. Mere Sovick, who is my guest today, is logging in from the beautiful state of Washington, and I am connecting in from the state of California. And we're just so happy that we can be able to talk about women in broadcasting. And also, we're going to add one more word after that, and podcasting. It's very interesting, yeah, how technology is advancing, all throughout these years. And women, I can say, are in the forefront of the use of technology for communication purposes. Yeah? So, in the spirit of the Pacific, and also welcoming all our brothers and sisters from Te Moananui Kiwa. As usual, for those of you who follow my program, I always play a song in the beginning. And Dr. Mere Sovick is from the beautiful islands of Vanuatu, our neighbor, Fijian neighbor. And so we have identified a beautiful song to kickstart our Talanoa or talk story today. And I hope you will enjoy it. And it's sung by a beautiful singer who also has connections to Fiji. And I know most of you have known this beautiful singer, Vanessa Kwai. So I hope that all of us, we will enjoy listening to this song. Nisambula Nimbula Binaka. Okay, so it's a song about Vanuatu, Vanuatu, a beautiful place.
Vanuatu is the lovely place where the people live in harmony, enjoy the
beautiful, beautiful song. Vinaka Vakalevu Vanessa, why for entertaining us today and taking us all the way to Vanuatu on this beautiful evening here in the United States. And very good afternoon to those of you connecting in from the rest of the Pacific. Nisa Vinaka to all our friends in Fiji. So we have a guest, as I have shared the poster today. And my guest is Dr. Mere Sovick, and I would like to welcome her to the program. Bulavinaka, Dr. Mere.
It's Bulavinaka, everybody. It's nice to be here with you, Dr. T, and everybody in the South Pacific, as well as in the United States and New Zealand, and wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, Vinaka Malim, Dr. Mere. And I know that you are connecting in from the state of Washington. Maybe can you specifically say the place and your neighborhood, just to for our listeners to know where you are connected from?
I would love to do that. So I'm connecting, or I'm chiming in from a little island called Bainbridge Island. This is in the northwest of the United States and across the sea from downtown Seattle. So it's about 45 minutes by ferry for those of you who watch Grey's Anatomy. There are only two ferries. One goes to Bremerton, which is our next door neighbor little town, and then the other one comes to Bainbridge Island, where I am. So I guess you can't take that woman away from, island woman away from an island. It's always find ourselves on an island. So yes, it's a wonderful place to be. It's a small little tiny island. Mhm.
Wow, that is amazing, Vinaka. Vinaka Wakalew. And I know we have some Pacific Islanders living around the Seattle area. Are there also Pacific families on your island, Dr.
Yes,
Mary?
yes, we do. We do have a Samoan family who lives about a couple of blocks down from me. And then we have a good friends from Tonga, um, and his wife, beautiful wife, Sharon, who teaches with my husband here at the high school here. So all the Peace Corps, which is how we all ended up here, families of Peace Corps families and friends, we do. And on the island, we have couple. So yes,
Oh, that's wonderful. I look forward to visiting you
I love it.
sometime soon, Dr.
Come,
Mary.
come and join us for cover.
Vinaka Vakalew. Oh, there's a family here. Semesa Uluilawa, they're connecting in from another island in Fiji. So it's interesting. Yeah. So from Ngau Island to Bembridge Island, and I'm on Turtle Island where I'm connecting in from. Eh? So Vinaka Vakalew, Dr. Mere, for sharing with us where you're connected from. Now, which part of Vanuatu does your family come from, Dr. Mere?
Yeah. So I am from the province of Panama province, and that's the northern part of, not very northern, but almost the northern part of Vanuatu. And to be precise, I'm from the island of Pentecost. That's what Captain Cook gave the name Pentecost because he happened to land on the day of Pentecost Day, and so he gave the name Pentecost, but the actual name for it in my Raga language, it's Raga or Sia Raga. It has several names, but the name that we always use is Raga, and also this happens to be the language that we speak, which is Raga, Raga. Yes, so that's where I'm from.
Oh man, that is amazing. Yeah. To share a little bit of the history, right? And the importance of place names. Yeah, because the our indigenous names have meanings and have connections to our tribes. And then of course, we have people like Captain James Cook and others who came around and renamed most of our islands. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that with us, Dr. Mere. Would you like just to tell us a little bit about your background? Because I know you were trained in radio and you did some work in Radio Vanuatu, and because this week we've been focusing on celebrating women in radio broadcasting, so we had 7 Fijian women who came along to share this story, and you are eighth sister that we've added into the whole family. So
Oh,
tell us a little bit about your education, Dr. Mere.
oh, thank you, Vinaka. So I, like everybody else, if you happen to be from the Pacific, you end up either landing for further studies in New Zealand or in Australia, or in my case, I ended up in New Zealand. That if you happen to go through a Anglophone or English school, so mostly we end up with Australia, New Zealand, England, and all the places that for further study. So I was very fortunate to be given a scholarship out of three girls from the South Pacific at the time. So I ended up in Nelson, where I did my journalism, but I mostly focused on radio broadcasting, which is what I was very interested in. So that's how my journey begins. And I did some work with Radio Vanuatu for a little bit, in just very shortly. And that did not take long until, of course, I met Mr. Sovick, and I ended up on this side of the planet. But I loved radio, and I still keep in touch with people and the lovely ladies who probably can hear me today. Hello to everybody in Radio Vanuatu, and thanking them, because the podcast that I do, which is part of the Melanesian Women Today series, storytelling, Radio Vanuatu has graciously been playing or airing those wonderful episodes that we do every Thursday in a women's program. And they faithfully do that. I didn't have to tell them. They just graciously given their time. So it's just wonderful to have those nice collaborations and telling the stories of our people, to share those stories. So I feel like I'm still part of the radio in some ways, So yes, but I love, back in the days where you have to record tapes, and you have this big, huge sounding boards, and now it's different. It's like a click of a button, and you can just record anything online. And yeah, so it comes with the territory and change of times, and I'm privileged to be on this side of of the United States, where I have those means to do that. So
Mhm.
that's one way to do that. So yeah, that's my background in a little bit in journalism and radio
Mhm.
broadcasting. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And when you went to school, when you were a little bit younger, was that like journalism and storytelling or communication was something that you were passionate about or always dreamed to do when you
I think
eventually
so.
leave school?
When I think about it, I never really thought about it. Like, it was just part of who I am, I guess. One of the things, because I was, I shared my part of my growing up with my maternal grandparents, which they're both passed away now, and my parents. And so you've always been brought up with the storytellings, whether it's your aunties or uncles, and it's just part of our Pacific Island cultures and traditions and customs. So there's nothing weird about it. And so I
Mhm.
guess that's just, telling stories. And I mean, we tell stories wherever we go. Underneath the mango tree, whatever, if you want to tell something about whatever you're doing to your friends, you come together, you sit down for coffee. Now we do coffee. Usually just pull a mat underneath the tree somewhere and sit down and Talanoa. And so I never really thought about it as something that I wanted to do as a career. I just thought that this is what I like to do, is I like to talk. I like to talk. And I did too much talking, I would say. So I love to know about what people are up to. I like to talk to them and find out what's going on in their life, and especially finding out more about why things work, and why is it that things are not working? How can we fix it? How can we talk about it? So I guess that's always been something that I'm very curious about, more about investigating, I guess I should say. So yeah, I never really thought about it in that, but I found myself enjoying it. And when COVID hit, I thought to myself, here I am. I have the means to do something. Why don't I, do something? And so that's how you go from that to something that you're familiar with, to getting it into a form of a broadcast. Yeah.
That's amazing. Eh? Isn't that cool to, be passionate about something, and you're a natural talker, and you can turn it into a career. So that's a classic example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sure when you're growing up, your mom or your grandma always tell you, Mary, be quiet. Does that happen when you were younger,
It
Dr. Mary?
happens all the time.
But I'm
To-
sure they're so proud of you with your achievement, to be where you are now through, the nurturing that they gave you.
Thank you. Yes, it has been. And I think it is very important when I think about it, not having kids, that sitting down and listening to them, even when they're talking and you're so busy on your phone or something, those are those, little moments where you start realizing I was that way once, and grandpa and grandma took the time just to listen to what I have to say and really listen, or just sit there and watch as you play. We don't have those anymore, and I miss those. Realizing those are really important, but those are like those little baby steps, and understanding that as we carry in those vessels of our stories, that our lived experiences and thoughts and ideas, and how can we either write or talk about it. Some people are very good at writing and they'll express themselves in writing, and some people just sit there and it just comes out. And for me, that works best like that, behind the mic, behind. Um, I didn't really get into TV. I know you did.
Mm-hmm.
In one stage, I don't know if I'm capable of doing that.
You still get the nerves, in the
Yes,
beginning, but then
yes,
afterwards you just get used to it afterwards. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Wow. No, thank you so much, Dr. Mere, for sharing that, especially your upbringing.
mhm.
And I know with our listeners, listening in, for those of you who are grandparents, I'm saying hello now to my cousin, Una Isitale. Ambula Binaka, she's a grandmother as well. So I would like to encourage a lot of our grandmothers and grandfathers listening in, to take time to, do storytelling with your children, because you never know, grandchildren, because you
Yeah,
never know, your storytelling will impact someone, just like how Dr. Mary was impacted, when she was young. And now she did all her studies in journalism, and now she's got her PhD as well, which she can share it a little bit later on with us. Eh? So that's what this program is all about, to empower and to impart knowledge to those who are listening in. Eh? So, Dr. Mary, in terms of storytelling, and now with your background, you have Melanesian Women of Today, and I
yeah.
know it's
I can see
so
it.
relevant
Yeah, there you
because
go.
we are celebrating International Women's Day and also Women's History Month. And, I just want to say thank you, to you, Dr. Mary, for having the heart
Yeah.
to be able to provide a platform for our women in the Melanesian region. So I want to ask you, what motivated you to start Melanesian Women of Today?
Very, very good question. I have to take a deep breath, and nothing is it's always right. It's always what comes from the heart that's important. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I will say one word: representation. That's what hits me. It totally hits me. I think we're in the Pacific, in our own respective communities and countries, you don't think about that until you're stuck in the middle of what's the population of the United States, and you're the only one woman from the entire, um, perhaps Vanuatu, the whole Melanesian region, obviously our Pacific region, and you start to realize that your voice is about this much. It's very small. And you look around you, whether it's through research, whether it's through TV, the news here, social media, and there was nothing. There's hardly anything. And this was prior to when COVID hit. And that's what really hit me really hard, because I thought to myself, if I can do something, if I have the opportunity to create a space, because we live in an internet era, then we need to make use of what we have. And also very thankful that my husband, who is willing to help me create this platform in the form of obviously helping with the organization, but just being able to create a platform for podcasts with storytelling. And so I started that in order to give others, all of us, a place where we look at it and we say, yes, I'm from here. And I always tell, those who come on, whether it's volunteer or be part of the board for MWT, Melanesian Women Today, is that this is not for me. This is in Vanuatu, we call Nakamal, the house, the meeting house. This is the meeting house for all of us. We come in here. I'm just putting up a post, the other person can come and put another post up. It's a house. Whether it lives on a virtual reality, like, or whether it's traditional on land,
Mm,
we need that representation because people can not just put a face, a name to the face, or face to the name, I guess, but also the fact that you don't see a lot of things from the Melanesian region. Don't
mm.
hear much of our stories from the part of Melanesia. And so, yeah, so thank you for putting up the website. And so, a lot of the things that you see in the website, it's not the content of just, by me. It's a contribution of a lot of, that logo that we have, that's from a lovely young student from Papua New Guinea, the logo that we have. She did that all, free. She wanted to help out. So that was very lovely for her. And then you have the Facebook logo that we have. If you go down a little bit there, the Facebook, that was
I,
done
I
by,
love this. We can do it.
we can do it. Yeah, bringing out the same symbol as, yeah. Um, the And in this one here, that's done by a lovely artist, Mary Lou from New Caledonia. She's the Kanak woman who does amazing illustrations and arts. And so a lot of our illustrations or arts that we use actually come from her. So, you know, our young people have so much creative talents. And so again, this is not a place for me, it's a place for all of us. And so we try to work with young upcoming leaders and give them a space to work and be part of MWT. Um, yeah, so
This is so
I,
beautiful. I love it, Dr. Mere, because it's so inclusive. I feel like I'm one of those
yeah,
girls.
yeah, yeah. And so she, I just ask her and and that's the beauty about when we're working together, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
all have skills, we all have the vision of what it's, and I thought, well, this is for them. This is the young people of tomorrow. What do they want to see? What is it going to look like? And so she said, this is what I like to envision what
Ah,
women of Melanesia and the Pacific would look like. So you have Papua New Guinea, you have Vanuatu, I think that's New Caledonia, Fiji, Solomon Islands, and then that Torres Strait at the end there. And we need to
ah.
include our sisters from West Papua, and we may have to do another one to include our sisters from West Papua, and many, many more as we continue to grow. But yeah, she did an amazing, amazing job, I think.
It's really, really amazing. And yeah, it'll be lovely. Does she have a Facebook page or does
She
she, is
does.
she, okay.
She does. I can actually provide that if your audience would like to know.
Because
Uh,
it'll be nice that we can, follow her too and, give her the support she needs. It's really
yes.
amazing that, that they can be able to help you on this platform.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful.
Yeah.
For especially the artistic aspect of it, because this is what
Mhm.
we see, and if we feel we see ourselves in any of this image,
Mhm.
too good.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is. And I think that's the beauty about seeing ourselves in things that represents us
Mm,
um, and carries our voice as well.
yes.
Yeah. And Melanesia, when you talk about Melanesia, you talk about diversity, right? The rich,
Absolutely.
yeah.
This is
So
amazing. So I want to encourage everyone who's watching in tonight or later on, please
mm,
support this website. If you can subscribe to their newsletters, and also they partner with the different organizations, and
yes,
also they would like to have volunteers,
yeah,
women out there, especially school leavers who may
yeah,
be looking for work or work experience. Reach out to Dr. Mere. And
yeah.
of course, donation, any of our
Yes, so
donation that we give is helpful. Eh, Dr. Mere?
yes, and we just one announcement. If you scroll down a little bit there, we have an upcoming event which is happening about in a couple of days actually. Go back up a little bit. Since we're over here on the island, Turtle Island, so this is what we do is we sponsor girl scholarship for the Solomon Islands. Uh,
Mm.
in the Pacific, research has showed that in our entire research in the Pacific, about 10% of girls graduate from high school. Only 10% or 7%, I think it is, but here it says 10%. So that's really sad. So one of the things that we do is we make sure working with a partner with the middle school here on the island called Odyssey, and they're going to have a talent show coming up here very soon. And Solomon Island sisters, Sister Ruth, if you're listening, they're preparing to put videos together for the testimony from the girls in the Solomon Islands who talk about how the scholarship have helped them. I think Dr. T, you were part of um, that was very, very nice. The girls were just amazed that there is as such a, person like them who teaches at a university in the US. They were so surprised. So yeah, so that's coming up on the 22nd. So it's going to be a wonderful talent show for the kids, and we're raising money. We're doing all kinds of lovely thing. Our shout out to all the teachers who are helping. Liz Finn, if you're listening, she's going to be helping with that. And we have Colleen, she as well, who's going to be there in the organizing committee for helping out with the students as well. But so this is a middle school kids, 7th and 8th graders who are helping out with this talent show that's coming up to
Wow.
raise funds for a girls scholarship. And then later on, we're going to expand throughout the Pacific, the scholarship fund. So we've started with the Solomon Islands. And
Mhm.
this year we have over 10 girls that are sponsored. Yeah.
Wow. I just wanted to know, how long have you been running the scholarship program for the Solomon
Oh,
Islands?
I think we're doing it now going on 4 years now, 5. Hmm.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And I just can't imagine the students, getting scholarships. So, for our listeners, especially those of us from Fiji, this is a really good example to think about, whether, we can do scholarship programs within our own countries, within our own tribes, our own islands. But this is amazing that Dr. Mary is organizing to help students in the Solomon Islands. So how has been the response like, Dr. Mer?
Oh, it was very good. And one of the things through this program is, you know, for us living in the diaspora, one of the ways to raise awareness about our people and the things that we go through, we like to do them through school. So it's a cross-cultural learning for the students here in the United States, especially the middle school. So they learn, and in fact, we've been doing it for a long time. That now I have students from the middle school, they're actually interning with me. And they're thinking about their career, they're thinking about all of these things that they can do. So you expose them and they know about more about our people in Melanesia. They know the issues that are happening. They know about climate issues, for instance. But this is a wonderful program, especially for the scholarship that the girls and the boys here, they absolutely love doing because they think it's not fair that, they can go to school here for free. And then the rest of our, friends, maybe around the world or places like the Pacific where you have to pay for school fee. That was very strange for them. And so they put their heart and soul into, and the kids organized this. We just help. They organized the whole thing.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, and at the same time they are doing practical work, and the students are learning skills, right, of working in the real work environment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you so much, Dr. Mere, for sharing that. So on the 22nd of March, yeah, so there'll be a talent show. Congratulations to all our performers. Thank you to all the teachers for their hard work. And I'm sure for many of us who will be watching, if there can be other ways we can be able to donate, and contribute to the cause, we'd love to do that. I will be happy to share your website on my page as well. Yeah. So
Naka. Mhm.
Vinaka Dr. Mere. Now, in terms of using technology, why do you think technology is such an important tool to use in this day and an age, particularly in the region of the Pacific, which is such a wide, far apart. Most of the islands are located so far from each other. Why did you choose to go through this podcast that you've created?
I think uh, the best way to think about this is that we are in the era of technology, and every century is different. And so this is the century that we are. So we have to be able to utilize those tools that are at our disposal. So whether you're a teacher, whether you're a nurse, I mean, we all have phone these days. And before, we didn't have the kind of cell phones that we have or mobile phones that we have. Now we do. And it's very easy to communicate. Everybody's on Facebook all the time. And so the best way to get message across, to work across, cross borders, cross nations, cross country, is utilizing those tools by means of using the internet and whatever else that you can use, whether it's through your podcasts or broadcasting, radios. Now you can click of a button, you can even talk to the radio station, watching them in the radio station. So there's so many different, and we're gonna see this changes. It just happens just like that. I was it AI, you know, that
Artificial intelligence?
I know. I mean, you look at the
Yes.
speeches that they put up, and all kinds of things that are happening. And it's a matter of educating ourselves of how to use it. We use it wisely, but how to use it so we're productive, instead of just using it just to doom scrolling like we all do. Um, use it so that we can help other people, our people. So I think it's one way also to raise awareness. That's so important, to share our cultures, to also share narrative. It's time for us to share the stories that we can tell, not other people can tell, but we can tell. It's like you sharing, on um, Helena with Dr. T all the time. They see your face and you're talking with your audience. And then for me, I'm behind the mic and talking and, being able to produce this podcast. And it's also shared on Radio Vanuatu, which the whole nation listens to it. And sometimes, like, we have radio stations that would like to play, they play that. But it's so important for us to do that because that's where we can also stay in touch when there's, disasters. We do have impact of climate change where we have a lot of
Mm,
the category 5 cyclones and everybody gets on Facebook and figuring out, what are we supposed to do now? But that's what everybody is today.
mm,
Have all these different groups that people come together and they discuss whatever that's happening in their communities, and it's just an easy thing to do. You tell them where to
wow.
go, and everybody, gets in that group and talk about something. It has good side, it has bad side of it. So it's just a matter of how do we educate ourselves to utilize it in the best possible way, and also just being able to make sure that we culturally be aware of how we present ourselves and our
Mm,
content. Yeah, that's very important as well.
wow. That
Yeah,
is so true. Now, coming to the Met, I know I've been honored to be a guest in your
several times.
program, Dr. Mere.
Yes, lovely.
How long have you been running this Coming to the Met program, Dr. Mere?
I think it is right when COVID started. Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
a story of the result of how COVID and how do we make use of the time that we were basically, not going anywhere and just being grounded in the house for the whole time. So I don't know how many years now. Has it been 5 years,
Four.
4 years? Yeah.
4 years? Yeah, four.
Uh-huh.
2020, yeah? Mm.
Yes. Yeah. So that's how long this has been going on. I took a little bit of a break because sometimes you do need to, you know, and we produce it whenever we have a story. We're not, I'm not very strict on schedules, but we do try to get it out once a month if we can.
Mm.
So quarterly is where we also have our newsletters that come out and follow stories now that we do. I have a wonderful young lady who's interning with me, she was part of the Odyssey program, and now she's in the high school. Her name is Saya. And so she does our newsletters, and whatever stories that we try to interview, then she writes the stories about those stories of our young people, spotlighting them in the diaspora. Yeah. So that's how long I have been doing this podcast and interviewing all kinds of interesting. It started off by just, telling stories about our women. And obviously I had you on. But then I realized that, we need to tell our stories because we're all connected. And so I have a couple of people who have lived in Vanuatu for a while, and I have also other people from elsewhere that have come. But it's just not for Melanesia, it's also for the
Mm.
entire Pacific, or anybody who's lived and worked in the Pacific.
Mm.
So there are two podcast episodes that are coming out. One is uh, a friend from Samoa, excuse me. Excuse me. And the other one,
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah. And the other one is from a friend from, excuse me, um, Samoa, and also Mr. Dr. Tarisi from, maybe I'm pronouncing his name incorrect, from the University of Hawaii that I did
Yes.
with him. Sorry, I've had this flu for a couple of days now. So, yeah, so our conversation is really interesting too. So people should listen in on that one that's coming up too. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Mere, for, highlighting the importance of us sharing our own story, because it's very common that we have people from outside coming in to tell our story. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem, not the problem, the opportunity can be missed, as what we can say, like a missed opportunity that, we are always allowing other people to come and tell our story. So what you've shared with us today, that your podcast is encouraging our people to tell our own story. How has been the response so far?
Good. I just got a good friend of mine has to send me a couple of Colleen, if she's listening. Sorry, I have to tell her name. She had a trip to New York lately, and she was visiting the museum. So this is for you, Dr. T. And her daughter was doing a ballet up there, and so she had been visiting some of the museum, and she was standing there looking at all these artifacts. And she's thinking about it, and she's like, I wonder where the stories of these artifacts are from. How do they get here? Why? So, but that only happened because she was listening to our story, and you had talked about the repatriation of the artifacts from you know that you've been doing when you were in Germany. And she thought, if I hadn't listened to the episode with Dr. T, I would have never asked those questions. Look, standing here in the museum and looking at all these different incredible artifacts, that they have stories, they have spirits, they belong somewhere. How did they get here? And those are the
Mhm.
things that ordinary, everyday, I guess Americans, when they go to a museum or anywhere in the world, right? If you're in England, for instance, how did this, tapa ended up here in the museum? And why is it here? So I guess this is the kind of things that we do when we tell our stories, because we bring life into this objects or this whatever that we're talking about, and that connection to who we are. And so when people listen to that and they go see something or they hear about something and they said, oh, I remember I've listened to the story before and this is what it means. So I thought that was such a lovely way of a feedback of a connection that connecting the dots in our everyday lives and seeing something that you just never thought about those kind of questions that you should ask. Yeah.
Absolutely. So true, Dr. Mere. Like even with my program, I've thought about it too because we started it during COVID. But then we realized that after COVID is gone, the usefulness of the program, it just increased day by day. It was amazing that we could be able to fulfill the need of a lot of our people to hear about this story, to hear the story of their island, to hear the story about their tribe. And you're absolutely right. Thank you for inviting me so I can come over and tell her about my reputation project, which is my baby at the moment. Because that's something I would like to do to inform our people,
Mm.
because I would rather share to everyone around the region what we're doing so that they know what to do. Or even like in that case, she can be able to think about how did these artifacts came to be here, in the first place. So well done to you, Dr. Mere, for creating that space that you have as well to encourage sharing.
Yes, I think that those stories, especially when you think about things that you just read on a piece of paper, right, or an article, but it's a different thing when you put a voice to it, and the voice uh, sounds a little bit different. The English may not sound articulate, and that's the beauty about it because it brings life to the article or to the picture or to the object. And I think that that's a lovely way when we're doing things like telling her stories using our own voice. It makes a huge difference, and it really, really does. It makes a huge difference to somebody who's listening and somebody who might be wondering about something. Mhm.
Yes, Diana Saranga. Thank you so much, Dr. Mere. And I know, that we are, you've touched so many lives, and especially our young women. And I know there's one particular girl, Tale, from Fiji,
She's probably listening.
who has, such an interesting work that she's done with you. Would you like to share a little bit about how Tale came to be part of Melanesian Women of Today?
Okay, so Tale, if she's listening, so she is an amazing young woman who is so passionate about Fijian Itakwe traditions and languages and culture and the preservation of, and now she has to forgive me here because now I can't remember the name of her little the island where she's from, but she came because she wanted us to be able to highlight the importance of Fijian culture and the preservation of Fijian culture. She's so passionate about it, and she wanted to make a difference in her community. So throughout, she's a writer. She's a beautiful writer, and she's been using her voice. And whatever she sees an opportunity, she's always making sure that this person gets noticed by posting something up on our social media and follow through any kind of thing that she thinks it's important for us to know. And she keeps us on our toes with what's happening in Fiji. We gotta be culturally, correct, when we talk about certain things. And so we just so happen to um, be trying to build, MWT Fiji. And so we happened to come across an opportunity where she was able to apply it, in fact, because she was always applying herself anyway. Super smart, very, very smart. Um, So she this year she got accepted into the Atlantic. It's part of the Atlantic scholarship where they're uh, through the University of Melbourne, Melbourne University, and she got accepted. And I got a call from the director, and I was so happy because this is the first time they've given scholarship to two scholars from the Pacific. They usually have indigenous, it's an indigenous study program and for social change and equity and social change. And so they picked her and another brother from Vanuatu. And so she has been, I think she just returned from Melbourne right now and back to Fiji. But she's going to be doing, amazing things that she's already working on. She's doing her master's for, it's going to be a one, I think it is a 1.5 year or 2 years, if I'm correct, program, or 1 year that she's going to be doing. And so part of the project is basically working, with the community there in Fiji and working with the whole community. But it's part of how we, as an organization, can help. But again, MWT is all not just, for me, it's basically designed for the young and upcoming leaders to take on projects and to lead them, to help them, support them so that they can take on the role when, for me being kicked out of the way here very soon so that they can come on and, and run the show because it is theirs. It's not for me. And I always say that to them. So yes, so she is just, oh my goodness, amazing, amazing young lady who's on fire for her people. Yeah.
Yes, I'm just looking at her name now. So it's Tale Thou. Yeah?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Tale Thou. Wow, that is wonderful. And she's an Atlantic Fellow for
Yes.
Social Equity. Yeah? So that is wonderful. And I just want to say to that to Dr. Mere, to our listeners, especially to our young ones listening in, this can be a really good way to encourage young ones to volunteer. Go and volunteer in an organization because opportunities can open up for you. What would you like to say to that, Dr. Mere, for young people listening in, particularly for encouraging them to volunteer, and these doors will open?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that because I really appreciate that. The one thing that I think people don't realize about MWT is it's created for building leaders, women leaders. And so whenever you come on and volunteer with us, so being on the board, and we always do give you an opportunity to be on the board as well, is part of it's a reciprocal way of doing things, and that's part of our culture. And so when you serve, because it's voluntary, then we will find a place or something for you that you really like and help you. And that's my job. I make sure that I help you build yourself, whatever area that you're interested. So that's Tele's story. And then another story is we just have a wonderful young lady. Her name is Gabrielle Torres. So she's her mom is from the US and her dad is from Vanuatu. And she is just about finishing up her master's degree doing psychology. So she has been working really hard. She lives in Oregon with our Pacific Island community there, where she spends her time working with them. So we are just designing yesterday actually, we were just talking about her program, and she's actually taking the role for the health programs that we have. And so what she's focusing on is building a capacity on mental health. And so we're going to have our first webinar coming in May. And this is looking at university students throughout the diaspora, as well as in the Pacific, gathering student bodies together and talking about the causes of mental health, what's going on, and so she's bringing in some specialists to talk to us about. So it's going to be mostly, like you sign up for it so that we can have those discussions so people don't, because it's a topic that it's really sometimes really have to talk about. So
Mm,
that's something that she's working towards, and so we're going to, out of that, we're going to create a toolkit and in a case study. Then she's gonna publish that, and it's going to be part of her PhD.
mm,
She moved into her PhD program, so that's another example. So that's the kind of thing that we like to do. When you volunteer, we help you establish yourself in some ways. And also we have our intern student right now who's volunteering doing our newsletter. And so we've worked on several things that she is already looking at doing,
mm.
helping her, so that when she goes to college, she'll be able to do all those things. So it's a wonderful way whenever you volunteer and organize it, not just us, but any organizations. And that's a way, a step in the door to
Mm.
get you to a place where you can develop yourself. Yeah.
Wow. I just want to show some beautiful faces here, and it's lovely, yeah, to see the different chapters in the region. So that's Tale. For
Yeah.
those of you from Fiji wondering who Tale is, so she's right there. She looks after the Fiji chapter. Joanna Mbule,
Mhm.
yeah, Vanuatu, Loate Maitala from the Solomon Islands, and Georgina Woti from Papua New Guinea. Now, how do these young people get to join MWT?
Well, that's a good thing that, you asked before about what is the space of when we are online spaces like this. And again, we are in the technology world here where young people get on and they figure it out, how to reach out and do network. And so all of this is basically through network. Obviously, the Vanuatu connection, I was able to worked a little bit in 2019, I think it was, with World Vision, and I met Joanna, who happens to be my cousin, and
Mm.
uh, she was able to connect with us through that, her network with us. And then we have down below here, the media team is a student from, so she's from Taiwan. Jinja is her English name, but she's from Taiwan. She works mostly with indigenous people of Taiwan. And so she's currently taking a break right now, doing her finishing of her PhD, but she's also at the University of California, Riverside. So she reached out because she's working with her dissertation is around museology, learning about how did the Pacific Island people from Melanesia connect with reggae music? Like, how did that happen? And so it's always nice to have her come on. And so she's been helping us with our media and writing our reports and things like that. And then this is Saya at the end here, and she's right now in the high school, super smart young lady who is so passionate about helping, um, in every capacity that she can. So she's our media person right now, and also going to be our secretary. So these are just young, young ladies who are passionate about making a difference and how we can help. So yes, please, anybody, and we do I still have spaces for more board members. If anybody's interested, please join in. And then I think we have if you go back up a little bit, we have Constance from the Solomon Islands. She's a lawyer. So that's Gabrielle, and she's in charge of our health program. So this is for 2024. There's new board member. And so she is amazing, amazing young lady. Yeah.
That's so cool.
And so this is Constant, and she works with the Solomon Islands Attorney General Chambers of the Solomon Islands. So we've got the big gangs. We've got the big
Yeah. I'm
yes.
looking at her name, Constance Mbula.
Yes, yes, Boulevard, yes. She's from Western
Ah,
Province, and she is helping us with our scholarship program in the Solomon Islands with Sister Ruth. Mhm.
that's wonderful.
And this is our lead program for it's called Service Learning Project with the middle school. That's how we connect with um, one of the things about our people in the diaspora that we connect with them here in the United States is through Peace Corps. And she was also a Peace Corps volunteer
Oh,
in
wonderful.
Africa. So that's something that Peace Corps comes in handy whenever you want to connect and for cultural purposes.
Yes.
So she has been the brain power behind our service learning project. And yeah, that's the face of amazing, amazing Liz. Seven name.
And
And that's Mr. Sovick, my husband. He's the
eh,
power brain of the podcast. He puts together the I do the talking, and then um he does putting off everything together. Also a website and anything to do with, and he's also a treasurer. So every other thing that the hard work, the lifting of the hard work.
that is amazing. I just love the teamwork you have, Dr. Mere. It's really important that your husband and wife team,
Yes,
yeah, it
yes.
really make the organization move so well when you work together really well.
Yes, so my husband was a Peace Corps in Vanuatu. That's how we met. And so he has taught in Vanuatu, in the high school in Vanuatu. So he's very familiar with our system. For 3 years, he taught accounting. Yeah, he taught
Mm.
accounting. And so, yeah, we've been married for 25 years. It's going to be 25 years this year.
Ah,
Have 4 kids.
congratulations.
Thank you. 4 kids. The oldest is
Wow.
24.
Wow, that's wonderful. For you to live Vanuatu
I
and such a
know.
family here, that's amazing. Oh,
Uh,
that's Dr. Francis?
Dr. Frances Bongi, she's South Sea Islander, her and Torres Strait Islander, and her community, of course, her family goes away to the Solomon Islands in Malaita. And she's married to her husband is of African American descent here in the United States. And she has two beautiful little girls. Oh my goodness. And she's also very busy. And so she's a connection to the South Sea Islander uh, and also the Torres Strait, our
Mm-hmm.
brothers and sisters in the Torres Strait. And we've been having a lot of discussion lately also about repatriation, which we will be approaching you, Dr. T. Um,
Mm,
yes. So she has been with me since the start. This
wow.
wonderful sister has been with me at the beginning of MWT. Yes,
That's amazing. See what women can do, when we
yes,
work together, magic
yes.
happens.
And she
Yeah.
teaches, yeah, she teaches with the University of Queensland. What is it again? Now I can't remember what the Queensland. Let's see. Yeah,
QUT,
QUT.
Queensland University of
Mhm.
Technology.
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow, that's beautiful. And then you've got the queen right here. Yay! Thank you
Oh,
so much, Dr. Mere. Yeah, just amazing,
okay.
the work you've done. Your dream, has come to reality. And not only you are doing the journalism work by yourself, but it's your husband and a good, wonderful team, that works and support you
Yeah,
in your venture.
yeah.
So what's the future for MWT, Dr. Mere?
Oh, and before I forget, we also have men also help us. So we have a wonderful cousin or brother from Vanuatu who's when you were once on the board, and now he's taken up your place of the cultural person.
Oh,
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, so his name
Yay.
is Selwyn Torv is listening. Yeah, so he's been a very, very good help. This is me picking up the phone and asking him, okay, am I doing okay on this part? So that's always important to keep,
Yes.
since we're on this side, it's really hard to, and when we're at home, it's easy because you go and sit down and ask the aunties or the chiefs. And here it's really hard to pick up that phone. But when you have somebody that you can call and
Mm,
advise or be the ear to doing things correctly.
wow. That's wonderful. I love the fact that you can be able to bridge,
Yeah,
contemporary issues, but
yeah,
still incorporating cultural
absolutely.
etiquette and protocol, yeah, in that as well. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Mhm. Wow. So for our listeners, what I often do is, when I watch Dr. Mere's post, sometimes I see you write in your language.
A
And
lot.
yes, and I just love the fact that I can be able to read it. And some of the words, are very, very similar. So to sum up or come to the conclusion of our Talano today, about your language,
Mm.
tell us a little bit about it, in terms of um, how much is spoken, and were you taught about that when you were little all the way up to when you were old?
No, thank you, Dr. T. That's a very, very good question. Yes, I think for me, I was very lucky because I was raised by both well, mainly when I was an infant, by my maternal grandparents. So I got all of that, kind of like the little baby brain where you sponge everything. So that made it for me possible to be able to go on and still speak it, even if I'm living in other places around the world, which is where I am right now. And then growing up in my family, there's seven of us. My dad in particular, like he was very strict on making sure you speak the language at home. But again, in our families, it's always when you say something in because in Vanuatu we speak obviously English, French, and Bislama, which is the national language. And so most of the time, because we have more than 100 dialects, so people would often use the Bislama, which is the national language, and so it's a form of pidgin. Of course, in Papua New Guinea, they speak Tok Pisin, and then in the Solomon Islands, they speak the Solomon Island pidgin, and in Vanuatu, we call it Bislama. Um, and so whenever you speak that, if in my little family, my parents would say, no, 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 you speak the language. But as time goes by, I think that we tend to lose sight of that. But I was very fortunate to be able to speak that and continue to do so. And so, because it's my first language, I often find that it's easier for me to write, to express myself in Raga language rather than writing it in English. Um, but I think that Raga language is one of the most spoken language in Vanuatu. We speak a lot of it. Families tend to be more um, in tune with that. And so it's very rude. Well, growing up for me, it's very rude to speak to another person from Pentecost or Raga, where I'm from. If you're speaking in Bishlama or English or French, it just sounds so uncomfortable, to be honest with you. Like if I were to stand in front of my cousin or my auntie and start speaking English, they would look at me up and down like, what are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you? It's just a very, very different feeling of trying to express yourself in English. I mean, today I think people tend to use that, especially if you're in a setting of, say, we're having a conference and you're from the same island and you're speaking English, that's fine because you're in a conference. But if you're having a everyday conversation, for instance, it's just normal to really natural to speak your language. And so whenever I'm writing in my language on a Facebook post or some social media post, it's because I'm trying to convey to the people that I'm related to, the aunties and the uncles, that's out of respect. If you're talking about something really important, even like wishing somebody happy birthday, it's a huge respect when you address somebody using your own language. And so that's why I do that, because I feel like, okay, that's paying more respect than writing it in English or
Uh,
something else.
Yeah, that is amazing. Thank you for sharing that, because I wanted to, reason why I wanted to bring it up, because for those of us in Fiji, we have a lot of our history that we all remember or know that is connected with Tonga and Samoa. A lot of our people have that memory
Yeah.
of our maybe 3 or 4 generations ago with the Tongan arrival to Fiji and the Samoans.
Uh-huh.
But I always say, through our archaeological work in Fiji, we have connections to the west, to the Solomon Islands and Vanuatu,
Yes.
particularly Vanuatu, because you are more closer to us.
Yeah.
And so when I see the language, when
You
you
can
type
see
it out,
that. Yeah. You can
yeah,
see.
I could see the similarity, like right there. I could even read and understand some of the
Yeah.
comments
Yeah.
you're making.
Yeah.
And that really, resonated with me. And I just want to
Yeah.
say thank you to you for doing that, for sharing your language, in a public setting, so
Mhm.
that those of us like in Fiji can start, connecting back to Vanuatu, and the Solomon Islands. Because I know for sure for myself, a lot of us, when you ask, oh, where does your family come from? There's a lot of, the Tongan connection and the Samoa connection. A lot of people remember that. And I always say, maybe it's time that we need to also make a connection to Vanuatu and to the other islands, because
Yeah.
the evidence are there.
I mean,
Linguistically,
yeah.
archaeologically, and
Yes.
biologically, there are
Yeah.
connections.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about that. There's some, I mean, counting, for instance, right?
Yeah, would you like to count? Maybe can we
I
count?
was I was hoping my little daughter was going to be here because she loves to come, but she's not here.
Yeah. So what's your
Yeah.
one in your language?
There.
Okay, so our mine is Dua.
Uh, there. Rua. Tolu. Fasi. Lima. Ono. Bitu. Velu. Sipo. Hangvulu.
Wow. Oh my goodness. See, I'm sure our listeners will really enjoy that. So for ours is Dua, Rua, Tolu,
Mhm.
Va, Lima, Ono, Vitu, Walu, Viwa, Tini.
Ah.
Yeah. So, the similarity,
Yes.
with even the counting, that's just one example, and I'm sure there's many others.
Yeah. Yeah. There is this. There is. In fact, I think there's a lot of similarities. It's a matter of like, for us to sit together and talk about it.
Mm.
And I know that some of New Vanuatu's who are married to Fijians can say that it's very similar, or Fijians marrying to New Vanuatu. I have cousins or aunties that have been married, and they would say that to us as well. And a few friends who speak fluent Fijian as well. So it's a small world after all.
That is wonderful. Wow. See, for our listeners,
Yeah,
we got
yeah,
a wonderful treat
yeah,
to hear the counting in Dr. Mere's
yeah,
language.
yes, yes. Yeah, I do know we have a lot of similarities in especially the languages. It may sound a little bit different, but if you listen to it really carefully, it means, like for instance, water is a very popular one. Why?
Why? Wow. And fish?
Ige.
Wow. Us is Ika.
Uh-huh. There you
Wow. And
go.
face?
Now this one I'm gonna probably mess up on it because it's a little bit what's for Fiji then?
Ours is mata.
Oh yes, we say mata is your eye. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, fascinating. To see the similarities in a lot of our languages and dialects here across the
Yes.
Pacific. Eh?
Mhm.
Wow, man, thank you so much, Dr. Mere, for coming to Talana with me today on a beautiful Sunday evening. I know we've got I think have we finished our daylight saving? Yeah, it's finished
Oh,
now, eh?
is it to yes. Is it
Yeah,
started today, right?
yeah, it started from last night.
From last
Yeah,
night,
from
yes.
last night, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so sorry for coughing because I've had this whatever that it is going around.
Not a problem, not a problem. We just love, hearing your story, and you've
Thank you.
inspired so many of us. And I know there's listeners who will join us later, and some who are also interacting while we are talking. Just the opportunity to do more storytelling,
Yes, yes,
storytelling in our language, in our dialects, and for us not to be shy
yes.
about it. So maybe I'll give it back to you for any advice for our young women listening tonight. What would you like to share with them in terms of advice for, in terms of storytelling?
So
Thank
I
you.
had I had some notes that I read down that I wanted to share. Is this one of the reasons why I chose podcasting as a storytelling medium is because it naturally reflects the way we communicate, the specific island people. Because, like you said earlier on, that we don't have, our stories were never written. We are oral people. We talk, and that's our first mode of communication is we talk. So one of the reasons why I chose this platform is basically because it's having a conversation. It makes the stories easy to connect with. And so I think that if you have a story to tell, and everybody has a story to tell, every single human being that's alive and can speak has a story to tell. Because if you look at the birds in the sky, they have a story to tell. They're singing, they're flying, they're, sitting on a branch doing something. That's a story that they tell. For us human beings, we have those stories that have been stored in us, whether it's through our life experiences, through our singing, through whatever work that we do. We should be able to tell those stories. So I think it's important that you find a medium that best suits you and use that.
Wow, that is wonderful. Vinaka Dr. Mere, for empowering us and making you really made us all of us value our voice and our stories. So from all of us listening in tonight, we would just want to say Vinaka Vakalevu to you and your beautiful family. Um, to your amazing husband who's been so wonderful, Jason. Send Loloma to him and to all your wonderful children and also the kids at school, and all the best for the upcoming fundraising. And I'll share the website on my page and get a lot of our followers to follow your page as well and donate, particularly for the scholarship for our young girls in the Solomon Islands. Vinakavalev, Dr. Mary.
Oh, Fina, thank you so much.
Okay, you take care. Mother. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me and Dr. Mere today. What a wonderful opportunity to listen to a sister from Vanuatu, and she runs her own podcast, and she does all the amazing work she does online. So follow her, Melanesian Women of Today. You can follow their Facebook page, also on Instagram, and also on their website. They also record a lot of their podcasts as well, which you can find all the links on the page. Yeah, Vinaka Valevu, thank you so much for joining me and Dr. Mere today. We really, really appreciate it so much, the opportunity for all of us to come and talano together. Sabama dan Vikemni, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and sharing this moment of empowerment, particularly for our women. We're celebrating International Women's Day and Women's History Month. Yeah, that women, we can do anything. Yeah, even if you're at home, you can start your own business. Even those of you who love to talk, we can even start our own podcast from home. Yeah, so you can do it. Yeah. Talo no sarangana no ta bossa nga ba kumbua, bossa ba ngau, bossa ba controve, dava nga na bossa tuku vikenda, e dara ni bosta nga, merani da wasera no de tala no. Daka vale usara vikim ni na barong tiku mai, kito ni sabe, ala dia Williams, au salala matuyani, naka vale